Hi, welcome to Quiz Machinery. My name is Jason Dingus, and I'm the owner of Quiz Machinery. We've been serving the woodworking industry since 1956. That's over 64 years now, and I've been the owner since 2017. Thank you for taking the time to check out our product today. Today we're going to be covering the Epistolio MRK6, and that is imported by Pade USA. It's manufactured out of Italy by a company named Epistolio. And what we're going to talk about is how it might help your shop in finishing. So what we're going to show you today is a pre-recorded video that we took at one of our recent installations. We're going to discuss a little bit about how they're using the machine and how they're already excited about it. They're already talking about multiple machines, and they've already referred us to some of their friends who are looking at projects as well. So it's been a really exciting project for us. We'll talk a little bit about how they're using it. We're going to talk about how it's increasing the quality of their product, how it's increasing the production that's coming out of the shop, and pacing the shop. A little bit of backstory. I've been working for Quiz Machinery for over 7 years now, and a lot of those automation projects, I would come up to the customers during the discovery period, and I would say, well, what's really bugging you about your shop? And overwhelmingly, one of the largest parts that was causing headaches for them was their finishing department. And so in speaking to them, I said, well, why don't we automate that? And they all groaned. They didn't want to have to hire another programmer. And what they would tell me is if they had 4 finishers, one of those finishers is amazing, excellent, incredible. And then the other 2 are good. They're good. And then the 4th one is there because we need a 4th body. That forces them to push the work around, so that it kind of revolves around that one employee that does a really great job. She might be super detail oriented, or just really understand how stain absorbs in wood, or some part of that, and they're having to work around that one person. If they're not there, they have to stay at home, they're sick, whatever, that's going to be a problem. And so what we found was a robot that could provide them with that consistent quality product, consistent quality finish, without the programmer. And this is what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So let this play for a little bit, and I'll kind of walk you through what's going on. Here they're setting up the machine. You can set up some different ways. You can have it, the chair can approach the robot via a chain. The part can approach on this carousel. That's what you're seeing there. It can also just be on a table. But we have a lot of different ways that the part that you're trying to paint can be addressed or introduced to the robot. What we want to do is create that 0-0 point, so the robot knows exactly where it's at, because the robot's, at the end of the day, it's a stupid robot. It's only going to go where you tell it to go, and you need to make sure that chair is exactly where it's supposed to be. So here we're painting a chair. This customer was able to train the robot in how to paint this in less than 4 minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about that today as we get deeper into it. You can see, just real quick, I want to highlight this, that the robot is getting underneath the chair and getting into the parts. That's something that some customers of mine had a concern with prior to getting to see it. And so this is the touch screen. This is the controller, if you will. And it's a touch screen, so the customer is very easy to use. Does not require any computer knowledge more than how to check your email. And then here we have Steve Lentz with Pade USA. They're the importer, showing us how you can do that. Now we're moving into how you teach the robot. So he's hooked the pistol grip up to the spray gun there, and on that pistol grip are a few buttons. He can turn the chair, as you see, with one of those buttons. He starts the training recording, if you will, with one of those buttons. He can also turn the gun, as you just saw, 90 degrees and get some different angles. But the best part about this that I've heard my customers say is just being able to get in and under that chair, so you can get all sides of whatever you're trying to shoot. But if you can imagine, if you had this coming on a rack or on a chain or some type of a conveyor system, those buttons could control that as well, could turn the part. There's ways we can automate that. So don't let this carousel that you're looking at be a limitation. There's other ways we can get the part in front of the robot. So now what they're going to do is they're going to go over and see what they've just done. They're taking it out of teaching mode, which is that key right there. And you see how everything's fenced off so nobody can be in there. We have 3 locations on this particular carousel. So while the robot's spraying that one, the operator can be loading this carousel, this position that you see down and to the right. And so he can take off the finished piece and put on the next raw piece. One of the big advantages is speed changes. So your operator can only go so fast, and that flow is set based on their speed. The robot can obviously go faster. Once it's been trained, we can increase the speed. We can also increase the flow to adapt with that. So if the robot's going faster, then we can work with you to establish the right flow so that you still get the same quality product. You can also modify the program later. So if you wanted to do the back of the chair as one program, the front of the chair as a separate program, then what you could do is you do that as 2 separate programs, and you can lace them together into one longer program. So you see the whole setup here. The controls off to the left, and he's working on that while the robot's doing work. All the operator has to do is keep that machine loaded, and if a new chair is presented or a new part is presented, then he needs to go and train that robot how to do it. You can see the pistol grips off of the robot at this point because it's just running production. What we found is this particular customer was able to accomplish with one robot almost 400 chairs in one day. It's not that the robot's moving that much faster than the operator. It's that there's less downtime in between chairs. It's that the robot doesn't have to take a break, doesn't have to take a lunch, doesn't have to take a bathroom break. There are some big advantages to that. So it's not like it's moving that much faster. You can increase the speed, but it had more to do with just that pacing of the shot, just keeping it going. So you see how the robot's changing different angles based on the spray type. It's getting underneath that chair. And here we're doing a clear coat. The most common uses of this machine are for the clear coat as well as for painting. But we do now have a stain that can be used with a robotic sprayer. That was a concern for some of the customers, was I can't do my stain with this, because you still need that human eye to determine how the stain is being absorbed, whether it's sap grain, the sap part of the wood, or quarter sawn or flat sawn, or drier wood, or just what's creating the variation of that absorption rate. We do now have access to a stain that is consistent and that you can use with a robot, so you can still get that good quality, consistent finish. You can see how they've set up a risers on the carousel to get the chair up. They wanted to be able to get under it and actually paint the bottom, so we just recommended they raise it higher. That's what they've done. They've also plastic wrapped some things to keep the paint from getting onto the robot and gumming up over time. Just some little tips and techniques there. If you see down on the bottom, those gray buttons down towards the bottom, maybe we can pause this video a little bit there. Those gray buttons are how you increase the maneuverability of the robot, which was a concern for one of my customers. Was their best sprayer is a smaller individual, and they were worried that that person wouldn't be able to move the robotic arm around very easily. So what we did, we showed them that button and how you can increase the tension within the robot so it doesn't just fall down and they don't have to hold it up the whole time. They can also decrease that tension so that they can move it around a lot more easily. So that's the end of the video. What questions do you have? Do we have any more questions here? I'm gonna look and see. Hopefully you guys got those answers to the ones. Yes, the brush thing. The brush thing is a self-cleaning device. So when if you're changing out colors or changing out finish, it's a quick way to clean off the brush, also just over time. And then let's see here. There was another question earlier about the, I already answered, which was about the number of programs you can store. That's unlimited. certainly not limited by the machine. It would be more by your system. And then let's see here. How do you calculate ROI on this? Harry, that's a great question, because there's a lot of different ways to do that. So the customer you just saw the video of, they were measuring it based on production in a sense, because they could go a little bit faster and they could increase the speed and also increase the flow to go with that. It took some dialing in, but they got that right. And then there's also the ROI in terms of the fact that they could use their one best sprayer, which he was in the video. I could have pointed him out, but he's great. He's very, very talented. And they can use him for all the chairs now. His program is what they use. So if he needs to take a day off, or if he needs to go work in another part of the facility, and that's a pretty big part of the ROI. PLC manufacturer for the logic and robot controller. That one, I apologize, I can't answer that one right off the bat, but I can get that to you, Dan. Sorry about that. And then, are there any machines in the States? Yes, we do have that application that you just saw was up in Ohio. We have some here in North Carolina, and there is, to see one in person, we do have one set up right here in North Carolina, just north of Charlotte. Give us a call, and it'll be, it is sold, right now, but the customer is letting us use it for the next while until we can, just so we can show it to you guys, because we told them about this event. We wanted to be able to get some of you guys in there to see it live. So absolutely. You cannot, this is an interesting, you cannot program the machine in a traditional way. We're just doing that, the training, the pistol grip and training it that way. That's how you're going to train it. You can't program it with zeros and ones like the old robots. I don't know why you'd want to, but certainly we could help you around that problem if that's something that you need to be able to do. It's not a new product. The company's been around a while. There's not too many in the States. But we do have lots of them in Europe, and Epistolio's has a lot of installations, everything from furniture to automotive parts, shutters, cabinet parts, just anything you could paint. And so there's lots of options there too. So feel free to reach out to us if you want to see one. But we do have plenty of success stories to share with you, if that's why you're asking that question. So thank you guys so much for attending. This was pretty exciting. First ever virtual trade show. And thanks for attending. You guys enjoy the show. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow back here at Quiz Machinery, 1245. Maybe I should wait until there's other questions. Let's see here. Let's see here. Are there any other questions? Okay, we're good. Thank you guys.